guys, welcome back here to Advanced Bass Fishing, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel today. Guys, today we're going to be talking about a specialized technique that I call basically deep cranking in shallow water, fishing a deep diving crankbait in shallow water. Now this is a technique that I did not develop. It's a technique a friend of mine figured out down at Grand Lake in Oklahoma. It works really good in the summertime of the year when the fish are really not very actively feeding in shallow water. And it's sort of a very unique presentation, so we're going to go over it in today's video. I think it's going to be an interesting technique to add to your arsenal here. And also, guys, I'll include a couple of my favorite, the exact baits that I like to use for the deep cranking in shallow water. One is the old school Norman DD22, and the other is a Megabass Deep 6. I use both of these in correlation with each other. The DD22 is a little bit more aggressive. It's got a little wider wobble, and the Deep 6 has got a little bit tighter wobble. So based upon specific water clarities, you know, I'll choose one over the other or different conditions we'll talk about here in the video. But anyway, guys, I'll put both of these in my tackle warehouse link if you guys would like to pick a couple up there. And also, guys, real quick, we've only got about three or four more days left on the big sale on my Solar Bat Series signature glasses, my RB2s and 3s. By the end of July, guys, it goes off July 31st. You can get them at 50% off between now and the end of July. It's going to be the biggest sale of the year. I'll have the Solar Bat link in the description of this video, and if you use the promo code RandyB, you get free shipping and handling on, you know, when you go to the link there. Got 3 different frame colors here, a bunch of different lens styles and colors, quality second to none, optical clarity second to none, so really appreciate all that. Okay, guys, let me tell you about this. I had a friend of mine, this has been, God, probably over 25 years ago, that was down at Grand Lake, and back then I was fishing Grand Lake a lot. I grew up in Joplin, Missouri, which is only like a 45-minute drive from Grand Lake, so I was down there a lot, and I fished it a lot in the summertime. And he was down there for a club tournament, and he won the club tournament with 21 pounds. It was August, the first week of August, and he told me he caught him on a DD22 in like 3 to 4 foot of water on a DD22. And I'm like, why are you throwing a DD22 in 3 or 4 foot of water? And he said the reason he was doing that is because when he fished the DD22 in that shallow water, it would root up the bottom. It's like this thing, you know, since it will run, you know, 15, 20 foot deep on lighter line, when you throw it in 3 to 4 foot of water, that big lip on it fights that bottom hard like that, and it throws up mud puffs everywhere. And he thought that his theory was the fact that since, you know, this thing is fighting that shallow water and throwing up these mud puffs, that the bass were down there, maybe it was rooting up some crawdads or disturbing crawdads that was going through the rocks, and the bass were there because the crawdads were moving everywhere and it was just throwing off a commotion. And he won the tournament with 21 pounds in like 3 foot of water. So anyway, I probed him a little bit about it, and I started using this technique over the next, you know, decade or so, you know, that time of year, in the summertime of the year. And I'm not saying it has worked every time, but there's been 2 or 3 situations where I've been down there, not at Grand, but not only at Grand, but some other lakes like Truman Lake here in Missouri, where I've caught good bags in the month of August and sometimes into September, fishing these deep diving crankbaits in shallow water. So let me give you little tips and advice on how I like to fish it and how I've caught them on it. First of all, you got to have the right water visibility. This is going to work a lot better. Sorry about my dog barking on the deck there. I swear, guys, it's these videos, it's either a dog barking, it's my neighbor blowing leaves or mowing, or the train, or a helicopter overhead, so sorry about that. In fact, I'm thinking I'm gonna go out back here so you guys don't hear it so bad. So anyway, here's the conditions I've done the best in. I have found that it works best if you have water visibility between 1 to 2 foot, and specifically water visibility closer to a foot. You know, that, you know, 12 to 15 inches of clarity, because that puts more fish in those shallow water. The second with that is you got to have some type of a flat bank. This is not a technique to work on like a steeper bank, or it doesn't work on riprap, or it doesn't work on big rock very good. You need some type of a flatter bank that has some smaller rock on it. Like rock, you know, anywhere between gravel size rock to maybe as big as a softball or something like that. That's been the best for me. So you got that 12 to 15 inches visibility, flat banks. I like to be where, say for example, my boat is in 5 or 6 foot of water, and on a medium length cast, I'm hitting the bank. So when I start to reel that, I'm hitting the bottom all the way back to the boat. And here's another key with it. You've got to use a fast retrieve. I don't mean like a burning fast retrieve, but you want to use a fast stop and go retrieve that really gets that bait rooting around and fighting and going crazy down there. On top of that, you got to put it on 20-pound line. Now this is something a lot of people don't do with big deep diving crankbaits, fishing on heavy line. But since that bait is fighting the bottom hard, you don't have to have any lighter line. It'll fight the bottom hard down to 5 or 6 feet of water easy with 20-pound line. So I usually throw it on like some type of a 7-foot, medium heavy action rod, 20-pound line, and just burn that thing with a sort of a fast stop and go retrieve on those flat, shallow banks like that. I've caught them on a lot of different conditions. I've caught them on calm days. I've caught them with the wind blowing on it, sunny, cloudy, it doesn't really matter. The main thing is, guys, is just that deep diving crankbait and the fast retrieve to trigger a reaction strike from those shallow bass. So it's not like a cure-all. I'm not saying that you're going to go out and rip them every time on it, but it's just something to file away in your technique box you might want to try. If you get a set of conditions like I described there, just pull it out and give it a try, man. And usually when you get one, it's a good fish. There's something about it being a big, aggressive bait, but it's usually a pretty good sized fish when you do get a bite. So hope it helps out.